Fredo says, people can say what they want about Goldson. We're in a much worse team without him back there and from set pieces. I'd take him back in a heartbeat. Ricky saying, this is the part Goldson is not getting in his interview. It's up to him and Tav to set the standards. Both have failed in a big way. Watching live on YouTube, Rangers Easy OK says, Goldson was a great servant for us. His comments about us not kicking on after the title win are correct. Let's not forget, he said him and the players weren't hungry after winning one league title. After they tanked in a cup semi-final, players have a lot to answer for that season after we won the title. The home draws early in that season that year were dire. If they were wins, Ange would have been off-ski. And I'll finish with this one, which is actually a question for both of you. Johnny Lennox writes in saying, Goldson talks about declining standards, but who would the panel consider responsible for said drop in standards?
How far back do you want to go?
I think when there's any drop in standards, it starts for the top, doesn't it? It has to start for the top.
Well, I tell you, do you know what? And this is my genuine view on it. That it dates back to the financial collapse. That it dates back to the people that then came in guising as Rangers men with Rangers-itis, and from that moment, everything about all the standards that have been put in place by men like Walter Smith, not men like Walter Smith, but by Walter Smith, everything was degraded right across the board, from the people who were in the boardroom to the people that were at the training ground to the people who were in charge of the academy. There was a lot of things went on during that period. Craig White, obviously, absolute car crash. Charles Green comes into the club and starts promising, I'll be listening to Champions League music. And
that was uncanny.
That was quite good, wasn't it? Yeah, up, mate. So at that point, he starts pretending that he was rebuilding the foundations of a football club, when really what he's doing was box ticking, making it look as if people are looking, going, oh, look, he's filled that role at the academy and he's done this and he's handing out mince pies and he's getting Jim Traynor to stand at a Christmas tree and write a poem. And people just bought it up, right? They lapped it up because they wanted it to be true. But you know what? It was a real false dawn, because what was really happening was there was a level of fraudulent people that were put in serious positions all across the football club, and that's when the standards disappeared. And do you know what? Steven Gerrard was trying to rebuild. He was trying to bring those standards back. I think where they made a big mistake with Steven Gerrard is, having identified him, they should have trusted him. They should have said to him, Steven, we don't just want you to be head coach here. Go and take a look down at Auchenhowie. Tell me where we're going wrong there. Tell me what we're doing wrong in that department of the club. Where are we going wrong with the kids? Give him, if you've picked a guy, you've identified him, you believe in him, if the board had let him lead at that point, I think they'd be a lot further down the road. But do you know what? They did the opposite thing. They said, no, we want to put our own people in place in these positions, because if Gerrard leaves us tomorrow, then the thing falls apart. We need to put a system in place where when we've got our own director of football, and then therefore you get guys like Ross Wilson and all these guys, and they were just as bad as the ones that were there before. And that's where they missed their shot. They had a clean slate, and Steven Gerrard, if they trusted him, could have went through the whole thing and given them real people, real recommendations. They didn't do it. They went the opposite way, and it just got worse. Yeah. And so, see, when you're talking about rebuilding standards, they're miles and miles and miles away from what they were when Walter Smith was manager, and before Craig White ever stepped across the front door.
One of the viewers, Daniel, mentioned there about Goldson comments after the semi-final. That was the semi-final against Hibs. The Rangers get battered at Hampden when David McCallum in the dugout waiting for Gio van Bronckhorst to come in, and
Gio sat upstairs and didn't come down.
Yeah, and certain people have obviously criticised Connor Goldson for those comments about not being hungry enough. But having spoke to him, that was him basically pleading. He felt as if he had to say something
to the rest of the players. To get the message
also out. To the board. I think the club. I think that was a desperate plea after that game to the people upstairs and also to the whole squad that standards are slipping here.
I remember at the time. I remember at the time thinking, Scott, there's two ways of interpreting what he's saying here. One is that he's put his hands up saying, I'm not bothered, which I don't think was the right one, but it's easy to misinterpret it, especially if you want to.
Yeah.
The other one was, this is a guy standing up saying, I hate what I'm seeing around here. That's the way I felt at the time. I thought he was making an impassioned plea, probably inside his own dressing room for guys to get their finger out, but also all across the club.
Yeah.
Because he could see an opportunity getting missed right in front of his eyes.
100%.
That's what I believe to be the case at the time, and I still do now.
Yeah.
I think your interview just confirms it, to be fair.